Hello, interweb friends. Thidumgamer here, and this week wanted to not only review the game Welcome to the Dungeon, but also go through a quick how to play. The game is for 2 to 4 players. They do recommend ages 10 and up, and as there is no real adult content in this game, take that age recommendation with a grain of salt. Obviously, if you have a younger player who plays a lot of different board games, things like that, they may pick up on this rather quickly. It does recommend to give yourself about 30 minutes to play the game, and that is quite accurate with the different games I've played. Now, with the game, as I said, it is 2 to 4 players, and to start off with, the players are going to decide what character type they are going to take into the dungeon. Now, each character type has its different pros and cons when going into the dungeon, among being able to rejuvenate themselves, switch out monsters, or just having weapons that can destroy just any monster that they choose. Now, once the players have chosen what character type, and we'll go ahead and choose the warrior because it's one of the easiest to play through to begin with. But once each player has chosen once the players have chosen the character type, you'll go ahead and lay out that character with their equipment. And as you can see from their equipment, they have a couple different types. We have the weapons and we have the armor. The armor will go ahead and add hit points to your character. You can get up to 11 with the warrior. And the weapons will destroy different types of monsters in the dungeon. For example, the goblins, the skeletons, and the ogres can be destroyed by fire. The skeletons, the vampires, and the liches can be destroyed by the chalice. The elementals or golems can be destroyed by the hammer. And the liches, the demons, and the dragons can be destroyed by the cloak. The demons can be destroyed by the demon thing, and the dragons can be destroyed by the dragon spear. As you can see, the warrior has a torch, a dragon spear, and a chalice. And they also have a vorpal sword, which will defeat one monster that you choose before entering the dungeon. Key term there is you have to choose it before you enter the dungeon. You can't go into the dungeon and all of a sudden say, it's going to destroy this. Have to be before you enter the dungeon. Now, each player will take turns drawing a card from the top of the deck and deciding whether or not that monster is going to be in the dungeon. Now, they do not show the monster to the other players. If they decide it's going into the dungeon, they just lay it face down. If they decide it's not going into the dungeon, they have to choose which piece of equipment is going with that monster. Here's where the strategy comes in. This monster cannot be destroyed by anything but the vorpal sword. So, taking the vorpal sword out, if you're thinking of going into the dungeon, might be a good play. But there's quite a few monsters that can be destroyed by the torch, so you may take this one out and grab the torch, and other players would have to fight through the dungeon without the torch. No matter what you choose to do, play it or not, that's up to you. Also, a third option you have is to decide to pass. If you don't want to look at the next card, you don't want anything to go into the dungeon, you don't want to go into the dungeon yourself, you go ahead and pass. After 2 players have passed, the next player is the one to go into the dungeon. When they go into the dungeon, they will go ahead and gather up what equipment they have, and they'll go through whatever monsters are in the dungeon and start flipping them over one by one. First one is the Lich. Lich can be destroyed by the Holy Grail, so you win. Next one is the Elemental. Well, you didn't choose the Elemental with that, you chose to destroy the demon. So the Elemental will hit you. We'll go ahead and put it in the hit side. A couple different things you can do. You can set up a die, shows you how many hit points you have, and then take off every time you're hit the number showing on the card. So we would lose 5 hit points here. Bring us to 6, and yes, a D20, I should know where that's at. That's a 9. Ah, there's the 6. Alright, next monster. Another elemental. Well, that's going to hit us and knock us down to 1. Next monster is a Lich. The Lich is destroyed by the Holy Grail, so the Lich that's just a vampire. But the vampire is still destroyed by the Holy Grail, so it goes into the destroyed side. And you just keep going through, taking away hit points as you're hit, until you get to the end of the dungeon, if you can. If you lose all hit points you will flip your little card over to show it's red. Lose another time after that, and you're out of the game. If, on the other hand, you win, you go ahead and draw a winner's card. Get 2 of these winner's cards, whether you've lost or not, you win. Again, as if you can either win by getting 2 of those cards or being the last man standing. Gameplay is fun. This game definitely recommend to pick up if you get a chance, and you have players that like to bluff, like to strategize, things like that. As I said, each of the characters has different abilities, so as you get into playing the game, you develop different strategies for the different character types. But the only thing that didn't come with this game was the 20-sided dice. Definitely recommend grabbing something to keep track of the hit points, as there's no tracker that came with the game itself. The game is from, and I'll mispronounce this again, Yellow. I'm not quite sure, but I will have a link in the description below. It is a game that I have found stocked quite often in my local game shop, so it should not be bad to find a copy of it. And to my understanding, there is an expansion to this. Not quite sure what all is in the expansion. Definitely looking forward to picking that up when I can find that. When I do, I'll do a review of that. Well, as always, if you like the content, go ahead and hit that like button. If you have not already and want to see more content, go ahead and hit subscribe. Recommend this to any of your friends that you think might like this as well. And if you have any suggestions for games or content that you would like to see, definitely leave me a comment in the description below. As always, this is Thidumgamer. I hope you have a great week and hope to see you soon.